Welcome to River City Plus, the show after the show, what we like to call the River City After Party. And today I have two very special guests and familiar faces, Eden Kendall and Christine Stone of the Uncluttered and Unfiltered Podcast. Ladies, welcome to River City Plus.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. It's so funny that you said you call this the after party, because we recently in an episode talked about, because our podcast is for women over 50, and we talked about how we don't go to after parties, but we'll come to your after party, Jana.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's fine because
It's during the day.
Right, my after party happens at the brunching hour, so that's fine. I'm already going to go ahead and get in that boat, and I know that you were focused on the over 50 demo, but I think there's a lot of those things that are over 30s are already like, no, if it's past 9, like lose my number, I'm not coming. If it's not comfortable, I'm not doing it. Like there's just so many things that you ladies are already talking about. And I wanted to kick it off just because I know that you are focused on that over 50 demo, but when did you start to see just changes in your life that you said, we want to have these conversations that not everybody's willing to talk about, especially on a podcast where it's your face, your name, you're not hiding under a Reddit bridge. Like this is you and your real conversations.
Well, first let's, Christine, do you want to talk about the lunch we had? It was right when I was leaving River City Live. I'm still at the radio station, but I was going to have a lot of free time during the day. So you had this tremendous idea
To start a podcast, and she was like, what would that entail? And I'm like, I have no idea. Let's just like try to think of some things for women over 50 because we're all going through it. And for me, I think it started at 49, like entering that 50th year. And women in their 40s really sometimes just are struggling because they just don't want to accept what's about to come at you. And I think having a community of women all feeling the same way is what we just started, and it just topics kept rolling off, and it's been 2 years and we're never without a good topic.
Yeah.
That is true.
I mean, and I love that you mentioned that just you start feeling this almost like inevitable date. I mean, I just turned 35 and I feel that way. Like you as women often feel, but you feel like there's an expiration date. Like if I haven't done X by the time I'm 40, I haven't done this. If I haven't done this, or especially when you see so many young, amazingly accomplished women and they're like, she's 17. And I'm like, and you just walk around looking like that, and you just already have, they already have NIL deal. I mean, there's so many amazingly accomplished people out there. You can kind of start to feel very inadequate very quickly on the internet.
Well, I think the phrase "for your age" comes into it a lot. So when you're the youngest person anywhere you work, you're a prodigy. When you're the oldest person somewhere you work, you're the dinosaur. And, in this day and age, I think it was like our second or third episode, we talked about tech and how we were both just always over our head. And, let's just ask a young person is what we would say. But we're a little bit different. We're a lot of different in a lot of ways. And you've touched on that before, Jana. But one of the things we're very different about is I don't give up so easily. I'm kind of like, I'm going to dig in. I'm going to try to learn it. And then
Right.
I suddenly will realize I'm putting a lot of stress and energy when I can find somebody a lot younger. And when I say younger, that's not necessarily meaning age-wise. It just means somebody who was raised during a time where this becomes second nature. It's just
Right.
not second nature to deal with all the tech that's out there, all the social media that's out there. And we found through community that we're not alone, and it feels better when you realize that.
Yeah. I mean, I even feel like that sometimes. Like it just takes me longer than I want to do certain things. But I'm kind of like you. It's like, well, I don't want anybody to be able to do something that I can at least conceptualize. But you make a great point, and moms, I'm sure, can relate to this a lot. Are you spending too much time cleaning your own house, doing your own laundry, managing your own social media? Your time is so incredibly valuable. Like how do you discuss like when it is appropriate to just bring in help? Moms and women in general are so bad about just being like, help me, help.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I'm a professional organizer. I see so many moms that are depressed, stressed, overwhelmed, don't know where to begin because everything's a mess or everything is out of place or out of sorts. So for me, I think it is so important to hire outside people, or if you have a handy friend or your husband's handy or whoever, making lists so you can accomplish things. But trying to do everything yourself leads to burnout. And it doesn't make the house run smoother. So if you're a mom and you have kids, you want to make your house run smoother. So pick and choose what you really have time to do and do well. That's the key.
Yeah. So a question I wanted to ask you, ladies, since we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary, almost 100,000 downloads. What have you two learned from each other in this time together? Like,
much.
can you
So
like
much.
give me some of the takeaways just from each other going into this next year together?
Okay, so here's the thing. I would not be offended at all if Christine says I've learned mostly what not to do around Eden. I mean, I really swear. There are so many things I've learned from her. Not the least of which is, like you just said, like making a list, tackling it, but letting it go. That's our motto: let it go and don't look back. And letting it go, not getting caught up in every little detail. Realizing that the things that you worry about aren't things you're going to necessarily be worrying about, not only in a year, but even in a week. Christine is she really doesn't sweat the small stuff. She really doesn't. But she also has things well thought out and well planned out, and that kind of takes her around the problem instead of through it. I'm kind of like, I didn't plan it. Let's go right through whatever the issue is.
And Eden, to me, she has more energy than I've never had, even when I was in my younger years. She is determined. She has energy. She's a runner, so she's very fit and in shape. Unlike me, I'll run to go watch Netflix, but that's about it. And so I've learned a lot from her, not to give up, to keep going. And the two of us together, it's just such a great yin and yang, because we work well together even though we're total opposites. So it worked out great.
So nobody should ever feel bad listening to our podcast, because while it is uncluttered, it's also unfiltered, and we really are so different that when you listen, you don't have to think like, oh my gosh, I hope they never set foot in my house, because you know that at least one of us will be like, oh, it looks better than my place right now, and I could open a drawer in my house and make this woman faint, I bet. Because even though she's already come over and done my junk drawer, and which, by the way, did you know you're not supposed to have actual junk in a junk drawer?
So I don't have a junk drawer because that would stress me out. I have something.
You're a Christine.
I'm an aspirational Christine, but I have 2 dogs, so I'll never be full Christine. But I want to be here one day. But I call it the Kamari drawer. It's something I picked up from like Marie Kondo. It's like things that don't quite fit everywhere, but we will still have order. Like this is my island of misfit toys, but it's still organized.
Because it has a place, and that's where it goes, in its place. I'm much better than I used to be, and that falls into the answer to your question, what have I learned from Christine?
Yeah, so I think that's great, continuing to learn from each other. When you said you want to encourage women to learn something new. So what do you think was the biggest challenge starting the podcast? Because it can be so hard just to put yourself out there. For those of you that don't know, like I was Eden after Eden, which are very big shoes to fill. And it's tough, when everyone's grown up listening to you, watching you. This is huge. And I'm coming in from South Florida to be you, and everyone's like staring. And I'm like, man, this is tough. And then you step right in and create a podcast where you're like, we're putting our real lives out there for people to listen to, absorb, and to frankly judge. Like, what challenges did you have with that?
Well, 2 things. First of all, I will say that if anyone ever steps into your shoes, they'll feel exactly the same way, because people don't like change. They don't like change. So that's a thing. I don't envy anyone who ever takes over for anyone else. And frankly, in any job you do, you're always going to, unless it's something you created. The biggest challenge, I think, was the tech. Really, I mean, there was a lot of moving pieces and learning how to do things and deciding, what are we going to pay someone else to do? What are we going to do for ourselves? But that's not even all of it. We're talking to a demo that doesn't even know how to listen to a podcast, let alone produce it. So we have to say, like, there might be someone watching right now and they're like, is this a podcast we're watching right now? We don't know. It's online, right? Isn't that the same thing? So you have to explain to people, well, you have to go in and you have to click this link. And so, there's a challenge there, just introducing people to this format.
I think for me, the biggest challenge was listening to the audience, coming up with topics, and then us being very brutally honest about these topics. Because, there are so many different things that normally people don't want to talk about, and we've talked about it. And we've got such great feedback from our Facebook Women's Only group. It's a community, and they're thanking us and saying, I can't wait for your next episode. You two are hilarious. You crack us up. You're so different, but we have so much in common. We're both moms. We're both over 50. We both struggle with a lot of the same issues going on. It's just nobody ever talks about it, and we started talking about it.
Does anyone ever tell you how exhausting it is when your grandkids visit? Because it's exhausting. I mean, this little thing right here, her daughter comes to visit. Her daughter has been lifting up her grandson since he was born, but she gets to see him every few weeks, and it's like he's getting progressively bigger, and it's exhausting. Yeah. So there are things that you just don't ever hear anyone say. They just talk about how great it is, and there are other pieces to every story.
Right. It's like a little bit of, the reality, and I love that you're sharing that. Also, so people don't feel alone. It can be really easy to compare yourself to all these very curated images and messages that are out there, and you're keeping it real, which I love. So we're going to keep it real before we go and hear about the crap Mom does not want to get this coming weekend from our Uncluttered and Unfiltered queens right here. So ladies, you've talked to your audience about this. Like, what do we not want? What do moms not want to see this weekend?
Well, before we do anything else, let's hear about it from an organizer's point of view, because she has been in front of moms and they've said, I have to keep that because my daughter gave me that for Mother's Day. So what are the things that
I'm like, do you?
Well, so I see it all the time and I hear it all the time that, I don't like it, I don't want it, but my son gave it to me, or my grandchild gave it to me, but they don't want it. So my philosophy is, when you're giving a mom something, think, what would Mom really want? So to me, I've seen more candles than you could ever imagine. And not only do they scream regifting, to me, it's just not personalized enough.
Right.
So candles are big on our list. Anything to do with cleaning. I know everybody's really big into all these cleaning gadgets, but Mom doesn't want a new cleaning gadget, I think. And the last thing I see a lot of are frames. And there's nothing wrong with a frame. You give Mom a picture of her grandson with a frame, but keep it simple, because I see so many different frames with dates, frames with golf clubs on them, keep it simple and classy, and it won't become clutter. I just see a lot of clutter that doesn't go because someone gave it to them, not because they want it, but someone gave it to them.
Preloaded digital frames, in theory, sound great, but nobody's really stopping to watch the TV show go by. If you really want that, you can put that on your computer monitor. But the thing, and no hate against that if you've ever given or received that gift.
I think we all went through a phase. Like, all of our parents got one at some point because we were like, this is
we
great.
preloaded it for them. I did it for my mom.
Right.
Same.
And the same pictures are on there.
Same pictures are
The
still
same,
on
the
there,
same
'cause
400
they don't
from
know
Facebook that we
how
uploaded a
to
year ago.
change
Yeah.
it. Some things we do love. I have asked, and this is along the lines of a picture, I have asked my kids for the past, I don't know how many holidays, to please take one of their photos as littles and recreate it. I've seen the trend on social media. I've seen it, and I'm still waiting. So,
Your mom is asking you for this on the most public platform ever. Give her the picture.
Free. It's literally free. And then I also love when somebody takes my car, and this has happened, takes my car and brings it back completely clean. It's gone through the car wash, it's been vacuumed, and that is a huge, to me, love offering. That is an act of love.
What do you feel about spa self-care kind of things? Because
I like it.
So, and I ask because I always suggest that, and then people are like, well, I don't want her to think I'm trying to tell her she's ugly, and I'm like, no one thinks that. No one's thinking that. So is that accurate, or am I just biased as a kid?
Accurate.
Okay.
Accurate. Love it, because they won't go by themselves.
Yep.
And if you have a gift card and you're forced to use it, and maybe you can get with your mom's friends' kids, and every mom gets it. Like, my mom has a group of friends in her community that she plays mahjong with.
Love it.
And I could easily, I just literally thought of this. If I reach out to the daughter of Helene, and you know what I'm saying? You could do a little work, but anything like that, while it sounds like a gift card doesn't show thought, it actually does, especially when it's to somewhere she already goes to get her nails done, or she already goes to get her hair done. So,
I think hair, nails, because they're going to go anyway. So it's just a nice gesture to give. Or what else were we saying
this is the other thing about when you are over 50.
You can't
Like we
remember
talked about this
anything.
minutes ago. What was it?
We do this all the time too.
We
We'll
can
be on
remember
the-
all the lyrics
Yes.
to a song from the 80s,
70s.
70s or 80s, but
Right.
why did we walk in the kitchen? We don't know.
Yeah, we have no idea.
Oh, I already have that. I
Well,
think it's just
just
ADD
wait.
kicking in hard.
Yeah, but no, you know what? Even red light gadgets and things like that for anti-wrinkles, it sounds
Yes,
offensive,
any
but
LED.
it's but she may really secretly want it and not buy it for
Yeah,
herself.
yeah,
So
because they're pricey. Yeah,
so
the
maybe
good ones
a
are
gift
pricey.
receipt with something like that. But I would love that.
Yes, any LED product, they're really popular right now, and also a flower subscription. I
Yes.
love
Oh, beautiful.
flowers, so they even have them on Amazon. Flower subscriptions, so those are a great idea too. Every month, your mom will get flowers.
I love that. I'll make sure I drop some local options too in the comment section here below. So,
Nice.
ladies, I just want to, before we go, make sure that we can stay connected with you in all the ways possible. And don't worry, I'll have you a link. All you got to do is click on it. All you got to do.
Hey,
Unclutteredandunfiltered.com.
Fantastic.
Simple.
Ladies, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for everything that you're doing. We're going to be partnering with them a lot more here on River City Live, so you're going to see them regularly. Let us know in the comments below if you have something that you want these ladies to talk about, and I will pass that message along. Ladies, thanks so much for joining us here on River City Plus.
thank you.